Hey, English learners. Welcome back to Jay and May English Podcast, the podcast that helps you speak English naturally, confidently, and without fear, one delicious conversation at a time. I'm May.
And I'm Mr. J. Whether you're listening on your morning walk, cooking in the kitchen, or just relaxing at home, we are so happy you're here with us today.
Mr. J, I have to say, today's topic is my absolute favorite. Like, I was smiling just thinking about it this morning.
Really? What gave it away? Was it the fact that you brought snacks to the studio again?
Okay, you caught me. Yes, I have chips right here. But today we are talking about food. Favorite food, to be exact.
And this is such a perfect topic, not just because food is delicious, but because talking about food is one of the most natural conversations you will ever have in English.
Right, like whether you meet someone new at a party, go on a date, or just chat with a coworker, someone always asks, "So, what's your favorite food?"
Exactly. And if you don't know how to answer that smoothly in English, you freeze, you go blank. Today, we're going to fix that completely.
So, by the end of this episode, you will know how to talk about your favorite food, why you love it, and how to keep the conversation going like a native speaker.
And honestly, this is one of those topics where the vocabulary you learn today, you'll use it tomorrow. It's that practical.
Before we dive in, if you're new here and you want to improve your English step by step every single day, please subscribe to Jay and May English Podcast. We drop a new episode every day just for you.
All right, May, let's start simple. If someone asks you right now, what is your favorite food, what do you say?
Okay. I think I would say rice, because I grew up eating rice every single day.
That's a great start. But here's the thing. Just saying rice is a little plain. It's like answering fine when someone asks how you are.
Oh, so we need to add more to it?
Exactly. Think of it like painting a picture. You don't just say, I see a tree. You say, I see a tall, beautiful green tree by the river. Your answer should make the listener feel something.
Oh, so instead of just rice, I should say something like, I love rice because it reminds me of home and my mother's cooking.
Perfect. Now that's a real answer. It has emotion, it has a story, and it invites the other person to ask more questions.
Wait, so talking about food is actually a way to share your culture and your story?
Absolutely. Food is deeply personal. When you talk about your favorite food, you're actually talking about your childhood, your family, your country, your memories.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. It's not just about eating, it's about where you come from.
Exactly. And that's what makes food conversations so rich in English. They go deep very naturally.
Okay, Mr. J, so how do we actually describe our favorite food in English? Like, what words do we use?
Great question. Let's start with the basics. When we describe food, we usually talk about three things: taste, texture, and feeling.
Taste, texture, and feeling. Okay, I can work with that. What do those mean exactly?
So, taste is how the food flavors your mouth. Is it sweet, salty, spicy, sour, or bitter? Texture is how the food feels when you eat it. Is it soft, crunchy, chewy, creamy, or crispy?
Oh, and feeling, is that like how you feel after eating it? Like happy or full?
Yes, feeling is the emotion the food gives you. Does it comfort you? Does it energize you? Does it remind you of something?
This is so cool. So I can say, I love mango because it's sweet, soft, and it makes me feel like I'm on a tropical vacation.
Now that is a beautiful food description. A listener can almost taste it just from your words.
Okay, Mr. J, what is your favorite food? Like your number one?
Ah, this is easy. Grilled fish with lemon and herbs. Simple. But every time I eat it, I feel calm and happy.
Why grilled fish? That's so specific.
Because it reminds me of my grandfather. He used to grill fish on weekends by the river. The smell alone takes me right back to being a little kid with no worries.
Oh, wow. That's so beautiful, Mr. J. Food really is like a time machine, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the perfect analogy. Food is a time machine. One bite and you're back in a memory.
Wait, here's the interesting part. Is that why some people say certain foods feel like a hug?
Yes, and there's actually a phrase for that in English. Comfort food. Comfort food is the food that makes you feel safe, warm, and happy. Usually it's something from your childhood.
You mean like the food your mom made when you were sick or sad?
Exactly that. For many people, comfort food is soup, or bread, or rice, or chocolate. It's different for everyone, but the feeling is the same.
So, how would someone use comfort food in a real conversation?
Very naturally. You can say, when I'm stressed, my comfort food is pasta. Or, fried chicken is my comfort food. It always makes me feel better.
Oh, I love that. My comfort food is definitely instant noodles. Don't judge me.
No judgment here. Instant noodles have saved millions of people on hard days. That's a very valid comfort food.
Okay, so we've talked about how to describe food and comfort food, but what about when someone asks, have you tried any new food lately? What do you say?
This is where things get interesting. Talking about trying new food is a great way to keep the conversation alive. You can say, I recently tried sushi for the first time, and I was surprised by how much I loved it.
Oh, so you share the experience, not just the food name?
Right. The experience is what makes the story. Did you like it? Were you nervous to try it? Was it different from what you expected?
Like, I tried hummus for the first time last year, and I honestly thought it would taste weird, but it was creamy and delicious.
See, that's a perfect story. You had an expectation, it was different from reality, and that creates an interesting conversation.
Okay, so the formula is name the food plus your expectation plus the surprise plus your reaction.
Brilliant! You just created your own formula, and that formula works every single time.
Mr. J, what about people who are picky eaters? Like, what if someone doesn't like trying new food?
Great question. Being a picky eater is very common, and there's nothing wrong with it. In English, you can say, I'm a bit of a picky eater, but I really love.
You mean like being honest about it, but still sharing what you do love?
Exactly. Never just say what you don't like. Always follow it with what you do enjoy. That keeps the conversation positive and moving forward.
That's such a simple but smart tip. It's like in conversations, always give people something to hold on to.
Yes, that's communication in general, not just English. Give people a thread they can pull to keep talking.
I love that. Okay, this is where things change. Let's talk about food from different cultures, because in English conversations, people love asking about your home country's food.
Oh, this is so important. And honestly, this is where you have a huge advantage as an English learner.
Really? Why?
Because you come from a culture that native English speakers are often curious about. If you can talk about your traditional food in simple, vivid English, you instantly become interesting.
Oh, wow. So talking about my country's food is actually a superpower?
Absolutely. Imagine you're at an international dinner. Someone asks, what's a traditional food from your country? If you can describe it beautifully, everyone at the table will be fascinated.
Okay, so how do I describe food from my culture if maybe there's no English word for it?
Great question. You describe it by comparison. You say, it's similar to, or it's like a, but with. For example, it's like a pancake, but thinner and a little bit sour.
Oh, so I use something they already know as a bridge to explain something new.
Perfect. That's exactly how great communicators work. They build bridges between the familiar and the unfamiliar.
Okay, I want to try. In my culture, there's a dish that's like a rice porridge, very soft and warm, usually eaten for breakfast. How do I describe that?
You already did it perfectly. It's a warm, soft rice dish like porridge, and we usually eat it in the morning. That's clear, simple, and easy to imagine.
Wait, I did it? I actually described it well.
You did, and that's the point. You don't need fancy words. You need the right simple words in the right order.
Okay, let's talk about food and emotions more, because I feel like that's something people don't usually teach in English class.
Right, because English class teaches you vocabulary lists, but real conversations are about feelings and stories.
Like, when I smell fresh bread baking, I immediately feel happy and cozy. Is there a word for that?
There is. That cozy, warm, safe feeling, especially connected to smell and food, is sometimes described as nostalgic. It means something that makes you miss a happy time from the past.
Nostalgic. So I can say, the smell of fresh bread is nostalgic for me.
Exactly. Or, eating that soup was so nostalgic, it reminded me of my grandmother's house.
That's such a powerful word, one word that carries so much feeling.
That's what vocabulary is. It's not just labels, it's the ability to express feelings accurately. And when you can do that, your English goes to a whole new level.
Mr. J, let me ask a fun question. Is there any food you absolutely cannot eat, like you just can't stand it?
Yes. Okay, I'll be honest. I really don't enjoy food that's extremely sour, like pickled things. My face just... no.
So how would you say that politely in English? Because you don't want to offend someone who cooked it.
Very important point. You never say, "This is disgusting," or "I hate this." That's rude. Instead, you say, "It's not really my taste," or "I prefer milder flavors," or "It's interesting, just not for me."
Oh, so you're being honest but gentle. You're not attacking the food, you're just describing your preference.
Exactly. And the person who cooked it will appreciate your honesty, done kindly.
This is such good life advice, honestly, not just English advice.
Food conversations teach you a lot about respect, curiosity, and kindness. That's why I love this topic.
Okay, I want to imagine something. Picture this. You're meeting someone new, maybe a coworker, a classmate, or someone at a party, and the conversation is a little quiet, awkward. What do you do?
You ask about food. It's one of the safest and most universally loved topics in the world.
So you can say something like, "Hey, have you eaten anywhere good recently?"
Perfect. Or, "I've been looking for a good place to eat around here. Do you have any favorites?" Instantly, the conversation opens up.
Because everyone eats, so everyone has an opinion about food.
Right. Food is universal. It crosses language, culture, age, everything. It's the great connector.
That's actually kind of beautiful. Food brings people together.
It really does. Think about it. Celebrations around the world all involve food. Weddings, birthdays, festivals, holidays. Every culture uses food to say, "We belong together."
And learning to talk about food in English, it's like learning to connect with people from everywhere.
Beautifully said. That's exactly it.
Okay, wait, here's the interesting part. Let's talk about food phrases that English speakers use all the time, like idioms or expressions with food.
Ah, yes. English has so many food idioms. And if you know them, your English sounds so natural.
Give me some examples.
Okay, first one, a piece of cake. This means something is very easy, like the test was a piece of cake, not about actual cake.
So if my boss says, "This task is a piece of cake," he means it's easy, not that he's bringing dessert.
Exactly. Second one, spill the beans. This means to accidentally reveal a secret.
Oh, like don't spill the beans about the surprise party.
Perfect. You used it correctly right away. And here's another one, bite off more than you can chew. This means to take on too much, more than you can handle.
You mean like when you say yes to too many things and then you're stressed.
Exactly that. I think I bit off more than I can chew with this project. I said yes to everything.
These idioms are so fun. They use food words, but they mean something totally different.
That's the magic of English idioms. And now that you know them, you'll start hearing them everywhere.
Okay, it's time for our vocabulary moment. Mr. J, what are the key phrases from today's episode?
All right, let's go through them. Number 1, comfort food, meaning food that makes you feel emotionally safe or happy. Example, pizza is my comfort food after a long day.
Number 2, picky eater, meaning someone who only likes certain foods. Example, my little brother is a picky eater. He only eats plain pasta.
Number 3, nostalgic, meaning a warm feeling when something reminds you of a happy memory. Example, this song is nostalgic. It reminds me of my school days.
Number 4, a piece of cake, meaning something very easy to do. Example, don't worry about the interview. It'll be a piece of cake.
And number 5, bite off more than you can chew, meaning to take on more than you can handle. Example, she signed up for 5 classes. I think she bit off more than she could chew.
Those are 5 phrases you can start using today. Write them down, practice them, use them.
And remember, the best way to learn vocabulary is to use it in real sentences. Don't just memorize, practice.
Okay, recap time. Let me try to summarize what we learned today. Ready?
Go for it.
Okay, so today we talked about how to describe your favorite food using taste, texture, and feeling, not just the name.
Exactly right.
We also learned that food connects to our culture, our memories, and our emotions, especially with the idea of comfort food.
Good point. That's a big one.
And we talked about how to talk about trying new food using the formula name, expectation, surprise, reaction.
Right. Great formula.
We also learned how to describe food from our own culture using comparisons, like saying it's similar to or it's like a but.
Beautifully put.
And we learned some amazing food idioms: piece of cake, spill the beans, and bite off more than you can chew.
Perfect recap, May. You nailed every single point.
And the big takeaway, food is a time machine and a connector. It helps you start conversations, share your story, and connect with people from around the world.
I love how you said that. And here's my final tip for everyone. Don't wait for the perfect moment to speak English. The next time someone asks you about food, use one new phrase from today. Just one. That's how real progress works. One small step every single day.
So true. Small steps every day. That's the Jay and May way.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. It really means the world.
And here is our question for you today. What is your favorite food and what memory does it bring back? Tell us in the comments. We love reading your answers.
We really do. Every single comment makes our day. And we'll be back tomorrow with another fresh episode just for you.
Until then, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep growing. See you tomorrow.
Take care, English learners. Bye for now.